At the edge of Cairo, a city built for the dead still has doors that open every morning. This is the City of the Dead, not a lost ruin, but a living necropolis where Cairo still breathes among its tombs. Here, mausoleums become rooms, burial courtyards become thresholds, and sacred walls mark the edges of ordinary life. The mystery is not that the dead are buried here. The mystery is how a cemetery became a district of the living. To understand it, we must enter a landscape where architecture, poverty, faith, memory, and survival share the same streets. Cairo has always expanded against its own limits: desert, river, walls, power, and the pressure of millions of lives. But long before modern housing shortages, this land was already a threshold between the city and eternity. Historians trace the roots of this necropolis to the first Islamic centuries, when Fustat grew and burial grounds spread beyond the inhabited city. In Arabic, this world is known as al-Qarafa, a vast landscape of graves that became inseparable from Cairo's identity. Families came to bury their dead close to holy figures, scholars, saints, rulers, and ancestors. Over centuries, the cemetery grew not as a single monument, but as an urban world of burial plots, domes, courtyards, and sacred paths. By the medieval period, Cairo was not only a capital of power, it was a city of memory, building for the dead with the ambition of the living. The Mamluks understood architecture as legacy. Their mausoleums were not simple graves, but statements of rank, faith, and permanence. In the northern cemetery, domes rose like a stone constellation beneath the Citadel and the Mokattam hills. Some complexes served more than death. They included spaces for prayer, learning, charity, and the travelers who moved through Cairo. This is why the City of the Dead was never entirely empty. Workers, guardians, scholars, Sufis, and caretakers have long moved through its sacred geography. The living were always present at the edge of the dead. But in modern Cairo, that presence became something far larger. As Cairo's population surged, housing became one of the city's most relentless pressures. For many families, the necropolis offered what the city could not: space, walls, shelter, and a fragile chance to remain in Cairo. A place designed for remembrance became, slowly and unevenly, a place of residence. Some families live directly in tomb enclosures. Others occupy modest homes between cemetery lanes. Over time, the boundary between necropolis and neighborhood became harder to draw. Outside observers often describe the place as shocking. But for residents, it can be a home shaped by necessity, dignity, and compromise. This is the paradox: sacred silence beside street life, ancestral memory beside survival, tombs beside kitchens, courtyards beside prayer. The dead define the architecture, but the living define the rhythm. At dawn, light touches carved domes that were built for rulers, scholars, and families whose names still cling to stone. Beneath them, people begin another day in a district the world often misunderstands. The City of the Dead is not one single cemetery, but a chain of historic burial grounds stretching north and south of the Citadel. The northern cemetery is especially known for Mamluk monuments, including some of Cairo's most elegant funerary architecture. The southern cemetery holds older layers of devotion, including shrines and mausoleums associated with saints, scholars, and historic families. Together, these cemeteries form one of the most extraordinary urban landscapes in the Islamic world. But the beauty of the skyline can hide the difficulty of life on the ground. Many residents face limited services, social stigma, insecurity, and the fear that the places they live may not be recognized as homes. Yet the necropolis is not only a story of poverty, it is also a story of adaptation inside a city that rarely stops expanding. There are tomb guardians, grave workers, craftsmen, vendors, families, and caretakers whose lives remain tied to the cemetery's function. Some residents have maintained these places for generations, preserving graves that might otherwise disappear into dust. In that sense, the living are not simply intruders. Sometimes, they are the last witnesses. But the City of the Dead is also caught in a modern struggle over land, roads, heritage, and the future shape of Cairo. In recent years, infrastructure projects have cut near and, according to heritage groups, through parts of the historic cemetery landscape. Preservationists warn that unregistered mausoleums, family tombs, and fragments of memory can vanish before the world fully understands them. Officials have argued that roads are needed for a growing metropolis. Critics answer that heritage, once damaged, cannot simply be rebuilt. This tension makes the city of the dead more than an old cemetery. It is a question about what a city chooses to remember. Cairo's necropolis is part of the historic Cairo landscape, where medieval streets, mosques, madrasas, and cemeteries form one long urban memory. But heritage status does not automatically protect every stone, every courtyard, or every family story. The hardest part of this story is that both the dead and the living are fragile here. A tomb can be a monument. It can also be a home. It can be sacred property, social memory, and a disputed piece of land. That complexity is what makes the city of the dead impossible to reduce to a strange photograph. Look only once, and you see contradiction. Look longer, and you see a city negotiating with its own history. The architecture itself seems to ask, what happens when the dead occupy the land the living still need? In Cairo, the answer was never planned as a grand design. It emerged from pressure, tradition, necessity, and time. This is why the necropolis feels both ancient and immediate, like a medieval map still being rewritten by modern survival. There are gates here that open onto family tombs, but also onto rooms where meals are prepared and life continues. There are lanes where silence belongs to prayer and noise belongs to ordinary survival. There are domes built for the afterlife that now cast shade over the living. And there are families who know that outsiders may see the place as impossible, while they know it as the only possible place left. This is not a story to romanticize hardship. It is a story to understand the architecture of survival. The City of the Dead shows how urban crisis can reshape even the most sacred landscapes. It also shows how monuments survive not only through preservation, but through daily contact, care, and contested belonging. Every dome here carries more than one history. The person buried beneath it, the patron who built it, and the people who still live around it. The cemetery was built for endings, but Cairo made it part of an unfinished story. And that is what makes this place so powerful. It refuses to separate memory from survival. Here, death is not only beneath the ground. It is in the walls, the streets, the skyline, and the logic of the city itself. The dead shaped the plan. The living filled the spaces between. Cairo turned a necropolis into a neighborhood, but the future of that neighborhood remains uncertain, caught between preservation and redevelopment. What remains clear is that the City of the Dead is not empty, and it is not silent. It is one of Cairo's most haunting mirrors, reflecting how a civilization treats space, memory, poverty, and the past. To walk through it is to see a city layered vertically, the buried, the remembered, the forgotten, and the still surviving. The City of the Dead was meant to hold those who had left the world. Instead, it became a place where the world refused to stop entering. And in that contradiction, Cairo reveals one of its deepest truths. Even among tombs, the city insists on living.